Episode 12. In her mind, as she ran for her life, she was screaming for Kora to wake up. She could finally feel her on the edge of her mind, way in the back, buried in the darkness. She needed her wolf more than ever. Her speed, her strength and stamina, her fierceness and determination to protect her and get her out of here and back to their pups. Kora, she screamed over and over, trying desperately to wake her beast within, until finally she felt her wolf wake up. "Help me." Jayla screamed into her mind at her wolf, so she would feel the urgency. Kora rushed forward, and to take stock of the situation at hand and her surroundings, looking behind her, she saw Jackson and Stephen running after her and gaining ground quickly, their wolves, Apollo and Rafe, lending all their speed. A snarl ripped from her, and then she surged forward, giving all her speed, power, and strength to their shared body. They shot forward fast. Kora was always fast. Not many could catch her out in the open. A part of Kora felt excited and exhilarated about using everything she had. Another part of her felt happy about being chased by two she knew would never catch her. She actually chortled in happiness at being free to run as fast as she could. Something she had not been able to do in years. To run at full force and be at the forefront, and mostly in control, really made her excited and happy. Being chased by wolves from her own pack, on the other hand, did not impress her. How? She queried as she raced down the road. Drugged, wolfsbane and Silver kidnapped. Jayla informed her. A massive growl emerged from within her as anger filled her wolf pups. Home, just us. They didn't seem to know about them till now. To know? I had to beg Alpha Blaine. Tell him we had children. He insisted on seeing with his gift. Kora was quiet, but spurred on by the need to know her pups were safe, she increased her speed even more. She had gotten faster over the years. Even though only let out every 3 or 4 months, she had grown with Jayla. The pack gate finally came into view, and to her surprise it was open, and there was a human federal police car parked right there on the driveway. She watched as a man got out dressed in a simple black suit. He was staring right at her, completely shocked to actually see her, probably never thought she was actually here, or had been informed as much by the gate guards. She screamed for help. Saw him get out his gun and raise it in his hand. It was aimed not at her but behind her. To her relief, she heard the footfall of Jackson and Stephen slow and stop altogether. They would not give chase to her while human feds were in sight. Not after that press conference Eric had given. May the goddess bless you, Eric. Kora, don't heal us when we stop. Evidence. Kora agreed. They were both smart. What Jayla had studied, so had Kora. Their interests aligned. She ran right into the arms of the other human who had gotten out of the car and collapsed into his chest, sobbing like a good terrified young lady running for her life from her kidnappers into the arms of a rescuer. As she got into the car, she turned her eyes on the pack road. Jackson and Stephen were both standing there watching her. She didn't hesitate to get in the car's back seat. She just hoped they wouldn't hunt and kill the humans with her to get her back, the minute they drove away. Nathan POV. The second she had been walked into his office, her scent hit him so hard he had to force himself not to stumble backwards. Mixed in with all the blood of both the men she had attacked trying to get away from his bringing her home, along with her own blood, was the smell of coconut, vanilla, and morning dew. She was his mate. Havoc was roaring with anger from the state of their mate. She was bruised all over and wounded in so many places. There were bruised hand marks around her neck where someone had choked her. Her beautiful face was bloodied and ripped open all down the right side, and blood was still slowly oozing from her chin. Her right shoulder was exposed as her blouse had ripped open along the seam, and she had deep cuts and grazes. There was blood still dripping down her arm, active bleeding. Both arms had hand marks which were already mottling to purple. The front of her blouse was covered in blood, and not just hers. She had long tear near the top of blouse, and part of her soft milky white skin above her breast was showing. Blood stains coming from underneath her chest, injured, to whose knows what extent. His eyes continued to assess her broken and battered body. There was a blood stain on her right hip, a wound under her skirt that was yet to be seen. Her right foot and stiletto was covered in blood. Not hers, though. Pain was ripping through both him and Havoc at the state of her. Both her knees were bloody and wounded. He could still see there was gravel embedded into her cheek, shoulder, and knees. Havoc wanted to kill everyone. No harm was supposed to come to her. If this was no harm, what the hell was harm? Nathan was doing his best to contain the beast within him, seeing the tears streaming down her once lovely face now so damaged she barely looked like herself at all, was inciting his beast's anger even further. You did this. He roared at Nathan, his claws ripping at his mind, trying to hurt his human counterpart. He watched as Jackson sat her in the chair before him. Her head was bowed, defeat written all over her posture and expression. She had yet to look at him. Look at me, he demanded of her. He could not keep his anger at bay, and unfortunately he knew he sounded furious at her. But really, he just wanted to see those green eyes that had once looked at him with joy and affection, filled with tenderness, maybe even love. Not that she had ever said she loved him, but maybe she had once. He could feel as her eyes looked over him. He was desperately struggling to keep Havoc from roaring mate at her. He was biting down so hard on Havoc's need to claim her right this instant. He could taste his own blood. She had not so much as reacted to him or their scent. Something was wrong here, very wrong. Finally, those jewel green eyes met his, filled to the brim with tears. Havoc immediately started ripping and clawing everywhere at his mind in his desperate need to get to her, to comfort her and claim her for himself.
Full story is available at novelpalace.com. Click the link in the comment section to get it free.